This is my 2007 BMW R1200 GS. And if you've been following along, I bought this bike at auction for $740, fixed it as cheap as possible, and then upgraded it with budget parts from places like TEMU and ALIEXPRESS. After all these cheap modifications, we took on some test trips, and then we went to 11 different states and did about 7,000 miles. And today I'm gonna give my honest opinion of what was worth buying and cheaping out on and what I would spend more money on next time. So let's get right into it. If you haven't seen the video of the long adventure, the link for it will be right here. We're gonna start with one of the more controversial ones, which is the upper and lower crash bars, which I did get from AliExpress, and they were shipped to my door, I believe about $370 to my door. And all of the comparable ones for upper and lower were all about $700, and that's in the United States here. So my honest review is, I mean, they were kind of finicky to put on, but they've done the job. I mean, I haven't had a crash, I haven't dropped it, so I didn't really get to put it through a full test. And my goal was not to drop it, because I was hoping to sell this bike after this trip, right? All the welds on it look fairly decent. You know, they held up. I mean, for half the price, you know, it was definitely worth the risk. And I like that it had mounting brackets for these lights, which I got off of Amazon, and it was a full kit for about like $30. These, 100% recommend. They did great. They helped me out. I mean, they've turned on and off. And the fact that it comes with all the wiring makes it super easy. You just route everything. And I mean, you could shorten the wires, but I just zip tied them all up, so if I ever wanted to reuse them or something, I could just move them into something else. And they're sold for cars. It's not a motorcycle specific kit, so keep that in mind. But they did awesome. They really did really great. I like the cages because they offer storage for stuff like this gas tank, which I will also recommend. It worked well. People had concerns about me catching on fire if I dropped it, because, you know, if you go down on the side, yeah, we're you know, fire. But yeah, this gas tank's held up great. Mount super easy, a little more than I think it should be from AliExpress or whatever, but yeah, she did great. Moving on to the front end, this little oil cooler guard was super cheap. I think it was like 15 bucks. I mean, can't complain. A little finicky to get on, but it works. It's definitely protecting my oil cooler from rocks. And then this one's also kind of a weird one, because I made this one fit because I wanted the look of a newer GS. As far as this piece, I mean, the quality seemed pretty good, and if I had a newer GS, I'd probably take the risk and buy it because it was really cheap. And you know, it has 2 layers of protection. It's got a piece of plexiglass that you can clean, and it's got this grill on it, and it just looks super cool. So I'd highly recommend. As far as the turn signals right next to it, I don't think I'd get them again. They're a little dinky, and the back one didn't survive, but that's for other reasons. But they're just very stiff, and they, like, any kind of brush past, you know, like if I just swiped it, it would break off like 100%. Would not recommend them. I'm gonna try to find another set that I think I'd like better. So there's that on that one. And up here, as far as the windshield, I mean, it did pretty great. I had a couple of very big rocks hit it and didn't shatter. And I mean, this was like a third or less of the price of a used one, and it smoked, which I didn't really care that much for, but you know, cheap windscreen. You can argue maybe the plastic isn't gonna shatter the right way, or it's not tempered correctly, but at the end of the day, I mean, for how cheap it was, it just worked, and it took some impacts. So I'd say probably worth the risk, especially if you're trying to fix a GS on a budget. So recommend that. This little guy definitely was great for me because I'm 6'4", and my head sticks up pretty high, so this helped kind of a lot of the buffeting. I'd recommend this little thing, even though it's a little ugly. I'm not a huge fan, but if you're a taller guy, you know, makes a big difference. Moving on to the other side, a little bit harder to see on here, but this bag was only 15 bucks, and it has proven to be very waterproof. And it straps on very easy to the cages, and these strap on everywhere. I would highly recommend these. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, and it was very affordable, and all the straps and everything feel decent quality. I mean, how will it do, you know, 50,000 miles later? Depends on what climate you live in, you know. I mean, in Arizona, I don't think these straps will survive, but neither will any of it really, because the sun destroys everything here. And as far as these cup holders, these were only like 10 bucks, and they're great. I really like them. I kept my water bottle on one side, I kept a Gatorade bottle on the other side, and originally I was gonna use it to hold oil, extra oil if I crash or something. Didn't end up working out, which, I mean, I guess was perfect for me, but absolutely love these little cup holders, and they say GS on them. So that's nice and neat, I guess. So yeah, I'd recommend buying a little cup holder. Never thought I'd want one on a bike, but it's pretty nice, and it held my big water bottle very well. 10 out of 10, for sure. I'm gonna get down it dirty for all these ones right now. So I ended up getting these little crash protectors, and I don't remember how much they were, but I think they were very cheap, and it's literally just plastic and some rubber and some bolts. I mean, in a slow speed accident, they'd probably help out. When I bought them, I thought they were definitely bigger. So I don't know if those are really necessary. I think the crash bars would, you know, do most of the work and do their intended job. I don't know if I'd buy them, but if you like the look of them, I mean, for not that much money, you know, might as well take the risk. But you could also spend your money elsewhere, like on these savage pegs that oscillate and move in, up and down. Yeah, I mean, they gripped my boots really well, but people had their concerns with the casting marks and where they were going to break eventually, especially on some really heavy-duty off-road stuff. I say do your research on these. They were literally like 1/10 of the price of like some legit ones. So, you know, I thought it was worth the risk. I think the OEM ones would have been perfectly fine for what I did, so keep that in mind too. I feel like this is overkill unless you're going to be doing really, really long stretches of off-roading. I don't know if I'd recommend these 100%, but look into them, you know. And another one that is not necessarily an upgrade, but I could not find these boots anywhere in the United States for like less than 200 bucks. And I got them at AliExpress, like shipped to my door for, I believe it was like 40 for the pair. And I mean, they're holding up, they're doing their job, they're keeping dust out of them. So I'd say I'd recommend those. They're lasting pretty well. Last one is this knockoff Wunder leak protection. This thing was like $6, and the real one is like 120. I mean, is the alloy gonna be that much better for the slide protection? I don't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I'm not a scientist. Look at me. Come on. But I think in an impact, it would definitely help, you know, protect the final drive unit. I'm gonna recommend it. It's literally $6, and you don't like it, you can use it as a decoration because it still looks nice, you know, like really nowhere to lose on that, and it makes me feel better, you know, if I crash it. So I'll say a yes on that one. Moving on up to the top here. Up here I haven't done a whole lot. This tank bag, I really did like this tank bag, except when it got stolen on my trip, because it is very easy to steal. Hard for me to review this one because I really do like this bag, and it was only 20 bucks. It has a carrying handle, and it comes with a strap so I can wear it as a satchel. And when I went on hikes and stuff, it was great to keep my keys and water, and that's actually what I keep inside of here, is my water bladder. And I found a way better one when mine got stolen, and I will definitely recommend this one a million times more because this design is so much better. And it's a little bit more money, but I think it's worth every penny more. I also kept my solar charger in here, which I don't have at the moment, but I will recommend that one. It was very cheap, and it charged my phone. I don't know if the solar feature really worked. I couldn't figure out how to turn the light on either, but it was a great battery bank for 15 or 20 bucks or whatever it was. You know, it did the job. It charged my battery. A lot of people dislike these mirrors for some reason. I don't really understand why. They are purpose built, and they're like knocking off the RAM mounts, and yeah, they're adjustable, and they worked great. And if I ever hit them or messed them up, I just put them back where they were supposed to be. and they work great. So I definitely recommend these if you're gonna do off-roading stuff and you plan on dropping your bike a lot. I guess no one really plans on it, but definitely worth the money. And the last one up here is this charger with a voltmeter on it with a switch. Really like this thing. Somebody said that it burned a fuse out on their bike in a comment a while back. I haven't had any issues. It's pretty easy to wire up, you know. It's got an inline fuse, so I mean, more than likely it would burn out its own fuse before it damaged anything else. So I don't know, maybe they got a defect, but this one's been absolutely great for me. It charged every time, and I would charge my iPhone and my Insta360 or my battery bank at the same time, and it would do a great job. So for 15 bucks, 100% recommend it. And then I get a voltage showing where my battery's at, so I have another way to diagnose my bike if there was ever any issues, which there wasn't. So that's great to hear. As far as the bag though, I mean, I would definitely recommend it. It just was really nice to carry around. I'm gonna look on AliExpress and find some other ones. There was one that I actually really wanted that was definitely way harder to steal and was a knockoff of a BMW style one, but for some reason they would not ship to the US, so I couldn't get it. But I'll link it for anybody who's outside of the States that might want it, because I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty self-explanatory, universal, bolt-on design kind of deal. So let's move on back. My first big purchase I made for this bike were these cases. And they were just such a good deal on TEMU because they offer like a coupon when you first start. And if you like buy like $2 worth of garbage, then they like give you like $100 coupon to spend on other stuff, which I did. And then I found these for cheap, and then I got the coupon, and I think I got them for $180, which is absurd. Like absolutely frivolous. Does not make any sense. And quite frankly, they're pretty damn good. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get them that cheap anymore, but for the price that I got them at, it's a no-brainer. I mean, they work, they lock, they latch, and they have nice liners on the inside. And you know, I'd say eventually that these plastic hinges on the back will probably break if you're not nice to them. But I've seen other name brand designs that have very similar hinges. I mean, overall, I loaded these up pretty heavy. I had all my equipment in the top one, I had food in one, and I had all my clothing in another, and lots of water and stuff. And they did what they're supposed to do. It's hard to hate on them, you know? And I rode through rain, and they never got wet. You know, they're very well sealed. They have a nice gasket, and looks like sealant on every single rivet and every single seam. So I think they did a pretty good job of making them watertight. So I will recommend these if you're looking for budget ones. I'll try to find the cheapest current link, possibly on TEMU, and then if you just want to click the thing, and if you've never used TEMU, then that's the way to do it. Buy these as your first purchase, and you'll get a huge discount on them. They will take like a month to get there, but it's worth it. So worth it. Moving on to the back side. That LED brake lamp was pretty cheap. I needed to kind of modify the stock bracket to make it work, but you know, if you want a cheap LED light, this thing looks pretty sweet and it works. My exhaust design I knew was gonna be problematic, so it melted this signal. It melted this thing a little bit, but it works. It still works. But the only downside of using LEDs, which I have an LED headlamp in the front and in the back, you're gonna have lights. Oh, and all the signals. But the signals have resistors. If you don't care about having an LED light on, then I'd say full send. But if you care about having that light on, then I'd say just stick with the OEM one, or find one that has a resistor in it, which I don't think I could find. Or you could put your own resistor, but you know, it's a lot of work, you know, just for a taillight when you could just get like a smoked cover if that's what you're into, you know. This right here, my favorite. Love it. TEMU has got some amazing little things. That's what I would recommend on TEMU. Stickers, my lanyards. I got an Ed and Eddie lanyard that I use for my jacket zipper. I will definitely link some of those because they're absolutely great, and they're like literally like $1. You know, you can order like a bunch of stuff for like 10 bucks, and just waste your money on amazing things. But yeah, check it out for sure. As far as the bracket that holds the panniers on, I built it. I'm gonna find one because I just felt like building something but if like looking back, I think I would have just much rather bought one because then it would have had the perfect clearance for the exhaust and I wouldn't have had to do all this extra work, and it would have only saved me like $100. It's fun to build stuff. And then this one I can modify and add a cup holder or something back here, or gas, or actually probably not right here. Don't put the gas where the exhaust goes. So let's keep on rolling. A little bit difficult to see because she's blocked by the old Pannier, but this knockoff Yoshimura exhaust was also very, very debatable for most. Yeah, I don't know, it's all right. It's not the best sounding thing in the world, but neither are GS's. If I were to redo this, I would just keep my eyes out for a used slip-on portion of an exhaust from a nice one, and I would just buy this adapter piece because this adapter piece was only 20 bucks, and then you can put any slip-on you want. You can put any name brand you want from, you know, another bike or a similar bike. But yeah, I don't know, this muffler isn't the best. I wish I had gotten the bigger one. I thought I'd order the bigger one, but I guess I didn't. It's just longer. I think it would have sounded a little bit better. It's just a little loud, but in general, I just wasn't bad, you know. I like my bikes kind of loud. I'm young. I still have years. And then last but not least here, this little thing did not fit at all. Had to modify my kickstand, but now that it's on there, I mean, it's been doing great, and it's got GS writing on it and stuff, so I'll see what I can do and find maybe a slightly different one that fits the kickstand properly. So yeah, that's where I'm at with all these parts, you know. I will also include all the links for stuff I use to service on this thing, like tools that you can get from AliExpress that are definitely way cheaper, like the spark plug tools. Otherwise, that's pretty much it with this one. I'd say make your own opinions on everything, but all the stuff pretty much lasted, except it doesn't last. So at the end of the day, guys, I enjoy quality things, you know. I would love to support companies that create great products at great prices. But I'm also just trying to prove a point with this entire project, because a lot of these adventure setups that I've seen and have been inspired by, I mean, people are spending 10, 20 grand to just go on an adventure, and then you need the money to go on the adventure, you know. I ain't got that kind of money, you know. And all in all, but I think I only have $3,500 into buying this bike, completely servicing it, and getting it ready for a long trip with replacement of gaskets, seals, servicing, and then as well as making it adventure ready with all these cheap parts. And you know, I mean, they did their job, you know. Like, I hate to kind of say it, you know. I would love to be like, wow, I spent all this money and wasted it on cheap Chinese shit. At the end of the day, almost everything's kind of made in China now, and that's what I was finding out with a lot of these parts, was a lot of these name brands and brands that do a lot of this. I mean, they really are buying the same exact product and then just stamping their name on it, or changing one little thing and then charging quadruple the price of what they paid to buy it, you know. And this is just buying direct from the source kind of thing. So I don't know, it just sucks. Some of the products guaranteed, like I believe some of the cages and stuff are made in Germany, and you know, they're like legit and good aluminum, and it's been quality tested, etc. So some of that stuff might make a lot more sense, but you know, like, come on, these mirrors, it's just injection molded plastic. Like, that's all it is, you know. So at the end of the day, if you have money to buy nice things, I say buy them, you know. It's nice to have nice things, you know. Just do your research to see if maybe you're getting overcharged. But for all you falling on a budgeters like myself, look into some of this stuff. Do your research on AliExpress and TEMU and all these places, because they're just fighting prices to try to get you to buy stuff, and it's all kind of the same. And you know, a lot of it does the job. And if I saved $700 here, $100 here, $100 here, you know, $300 there, and $50 on this, and you know, it all adds up very fast. And now, instead of spending 10 grand on this bike, I spent 35, and then I can spend 3 grand on going on an adventure and doing something really cool and having fun, versus spending all that money on gear and going nowhere, you know? We're not broke. we're just maximizing our dollar, you know? That's all we ever do. Another quick note is, this is the last video of this series because this bike will hopefully be sold today. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for watching, and I hope to see you at the next one. I just want to say thank you to anyone who has donated to the channel. You guys are all absolute legends and help drive me to keep this channel going. So thank you.